All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on this, hidden force that secretly shaped the look of our favorite blockbuster movies for decades. It's a wild story about technology, problem solving, and, yeah, why so many action heroes looked suspiciously similar for about 30 years straight.
Okay, so just think about it for a second. Have you ever noticed that? That look, the sleek, dark outfits, the really severe hairstyles, from The Matrix to Underworld all the way to the early Marvel films, there was this aesthetic that just kept repeating. And I promise you, the reason why is not what you think it is. And here's the big reveal. This wasn't some creative choice. It wasn't a fashion trend that everyone just decided to jump on. Nope. It was a workaround, a massive industry-wide solution to a huge technical problem that filmmakers were struggling with behind the scenes. And the culprit? The good old green screen.
So, to really understand this whole look, we have to get into the tech that basically forced it to exist. Let's talk about the challenges of working with the all-powerful but, very, very tricky green screen.
So, a super simple breakdown. Chroma keying is what lets filmmakers shoot an actor against a solid green background. And then, in post-production, replace all that green with anything they can dream up. An alien planet, a giant explosion. You get the idea. The thing is, the process is incredibly sensitive.
And this list right here, these are the absolute mortal enemies of a clean special effect. You see, loose, wispy hair creates this fuzzy, ugly edge. Sheer fabrics or shiny surfaces can actually pick up the green light from the screen. It's a thing called spill, and then they look all weird and transparent in the final shot. It was a total minefield for costume and hair designers.
So, how in the world did Hollywood solve this? Well, they basically created an unofficial dress code, a whole set of design rules that were all about making life easier for the visual effects team. And this became the unspoken uniform of the action hero.
And here it is, the poster child for the entire era. The black, usually leather or some kind of pleather, skin-tight suit. I mean, just think of Trinity in The Matrix or Celine in Underworld. This wasn't just about looking cool. It was the absolute perfect technical solution to the green screen problem.
And when you break it down like this, it all makes perfect sense. The color black, well, it doesn't pick up that green spill. The skin-tight fit means you have way fewer moving folds, so less motion blur. And a matte finish, that gets rid of any of those pesky green reflections. This one outfit solves 3 huge green screen headaches all at once.
Okay, here's another one that once you see it, you will never be able to unsee. The bizarre number of characters wearing gloves, even when it makes absolutely no sense for the scene. It seems so random, but just like everything else, there was a very, very practical reason for it.
And the truth is kind of funny. Individual fingers are an absolute nightmare to composite. All those complex moving edges are just incredibly hard to key out or separate cleanly from the background. So, you put an actor in gloves, and you instantly simplify the shape of their hands into a much easier, cleaner silhouette for the VFX artist to work with. Problem solved.
And this logic did not stop at the wardrobe. Oh no, the exact same rules applied to hair. To avoid the nightmare of trying to separate thousands of individual hair strands from a green screen, hairstyles had to be controlled, contained, and, you guessed it, clean.
Which of course brings us to probably the most iconic hairstyle of the entire era, the tight, severe action ponytail or bun. It was worn by a whole generation of heroines, from Lara Croft to Black Widow. You know the look.
So why was this so popular? It's simple. No flyaways. A ponytail or a tight bun creates a solid, hard edge that's super easy to separate from that green background. It keeps the hair from moving around, which meant artists didn't have to spend hundreds of hours doing something called rotoscoping, which is basically manually tracing around loose hair frame by agonizing frame.
And then for male characters, you often saw the complete opposite extreme, but for the exact same reason, the military-style buzz cut. Just think of all the sci-fi soldiers and tough guys from this period.
A buzz cut is pretty much easy mode for a VFX artist. There's almost zero edge complexity to deal with and absolutely no movement. It's the simplest, cleanest possible solution for putting a human head in front of a green screen. And really, this quote just sums up the entire creative philosophy of the time, doesn't it? Every single choice, from a costume's fabric to a hero's haircut, was filtered through this one super practical question: will this make the VFX team's job impossible? And that, right there, is what flattened the variety and pushed design in such a specific, technically driven direction.
But you've probably noticed that this particular look is starting to fade from our screens. And that's because the technology is finally catching up. The limitations that basically defined the entire Chroma Key era, they're finally starting to disappear.
The huge game changer is this thing right here, the LED volume. It's a form of virtual production, and you've probably seen it used on shows like The Mandalorian. So instead of a flat green screen, the actors perform inside this massive curved wall of LED screens that, get this, display the digital background in real time. The environment is actually there with them on set.
And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. The old way was all about problem avoidance. The new way is about creating a physically plausible world. With an LED volume, there's no keying out a background, because the background is actually there. And that means the light from the screens reflects realistically on armor, on skin, on everything. All of a sudden, you can have wispy hair and sheer fabrics, because you're not filming against an empty green void anymore. The creative handcuffs are finally off.
So when you look back, this whole period, this whole look, can really be seen as this distinct technology-driven phase. It was like a nearly 30-year detour in film aesthetics, where the limitations of Chroma Key quietly became one of the most influential costume and hair designers in all of Hollywood.
So now that you know the secret, it totally changes how you see these movies, right? You'll start spotting it everywhere. The leather suits, the oh-so-convenient gloves, the perfectly clean hairstyles. It's like a hidden layer of filmmaking history, hiding in plain sight this whole time. So the only question left is, which movie are you going to rewatch first?